Hey everyone, welcome to this GT recap video. So over the previous weekend, June 17th, 18th, I'm not sure exactly when this is coming out, I played in a 5-round GT tournament. So this is after the event, but this is going to be the lead-in portion, and then we're going to jump into each round, and I'm going to talk about each game, and we'll find out how I did at my second GT. So Tyranid's obviously in a very good place right now, very confident with this list going in. So let's just jump in and talk about the list real quick. So it's Hive Fleet Leviathan, 2,000 points, and it is a battalion. So we have a Neurothrope in the HQ slot. He is my Warlord. He has Synaptic Tendrils, Onslaught, and Catalyst for his powers, and that's him. And then, and Gestation sack as well. Then we've got my Reaper Tyrant with Adrenal Glands, and for powers, he had Paroxysm and a Psychic Scream, and that's it for him. Also had Adaptive Biology, so the 5-up Feel No Pain. So all said and done in terms of CP, I'm starting with 9, so I spent enough to have 3 Warlord traits and an extra Relic, so that's 2 of the Warlord traits there. So let's jump into the Elite section, and my 3rd Warlord trait is right up on Death Leaper up there, who had Alien Cunning. And then we had a Malceptor with Neuroparasite and Psychic Scream. 3 Zoes with Catalyst. I took Catalyst just because I thought, well, you know, there's the off chance I might not be able to smite something turn 1, so may as well rely on them getting Catalyst off before they start being super offensive, because the update came out and they can't double cast anymore. And the Neurothrope then can take over Catalyst, and it also allows my Neurothrope to do any psychic actions I may need done with these guys tossing down Catalyst as needed. Then we have 3 Venoms. Moving into the troop section, we have 10 Gargoyles, 9 Warriors, all with Bone Swords and Death Spitters. You just ignore the Venom Cannons just there. The Death Spitter port like that just pops off, but it's over on the table there. So they all were kitted the exact same. The group of 9 here had Adrenal Glands, and then we had a unit of 5 with Bone Swords and Death Spitters. No Adrenal Glands for them, so just rocking it as is. 5 Raveners with Death Spitters and the Rending Claws. And then Tyranids with Rupture Cannon. He had Voracious Ammunition, so getting the Mortals on the 2-up. An Exocrine with Dermic Symbiosis. And then, of course, my Harpy. So it is a Hive Crown head and everything, but I've got the guns with kind of shooting down like that. I think it looks pretty cool. I have a real Harpy that I'm going to be working on, but he's magnetized, does the trick, and kitted out properly. And he has the Synaptic Enhancement upgrade from the Adaptive Biologies. So that is my list. So it's 2,000 points. Again, very confident going into it. Leading to the event, there is a really, really good spread of armies. There's actually only 3 NID players. There is, I believe, 7 players altogether. Yeah, 27 in the event, I think it was. And 3 NID players, 4 Eldari, and the rest is just a real good mix of everything. So we got there's Space Wolf, there's Sisters in there. For Chaos, I think there was 2 Chaos Knights. There's no actually Imperial or just standard Imperial Knights. Some Black Templars, Grey Knights are in there, and that that's there's a couple other more like Thousand Suns are there as well. Trying to think of what all the other, but yeah, just honestly a good variety. No one really jumping to the meta of everything. So love seeing that. Again, our local scene is very cool. For the most part, a lot of people stick with their faction, which is really neat, and they find the best way to operate them. So I think that's really cool. Fortunately for me right now, the Tyranids are been on the cutting edge, which is great. So I'm hoping to perform well at this event. I mean, I've been playing Tyranids long enough. I got a good grasp for the army, but having them be the hotness right now also does certainly give another edge, and I'm looking to perform well at my second GT. So super excited about it. On a hold, this list is built to do Stranglehold very well, and all the missions for the event except one are all 5 mission objectives. So planning out for Stranglehold was really key here. Again, having the Neurothrope in there with Gestation sack and all my fast units like Gargoyles and Venomthropes to screen allows me to do Psychic secondaries very well. The list being Leviathan on a whole and my big monsters is very hard to kill. So worst case, I also have Grind Them Down as a potential option. And it's hard to really take this this force out. And then to the last also is a decent option as well, which would be my Tyranids, the big brick of 9 Warriors, and my Hive Tyrant. So you might think, well, to the last might be risky with the Hive Tyrant. But honestly, I've been slow playing with the Hive Tyrant. So I've kind of actually been keeping him back on my backfield objective, then either swapping out from the Rippers popping out or Venomthropes jumping back to hold my backfield objective with the Tyrant launching turn 3 onward. So that's kind of my play style with him. It's been working out incredibly well. And I feel this list has enough punch between the Raveners, the shooting between these three, and then the psychic output from everyone else over here that the Tyrant can pick his time to pounce out and obliterate whatever he touches with the Reaper. So, and then the Gargoyles as well, working as screening. I've been running 2 units of 10 in the past, and I felt very comfortable with the 2 units of 10, but dropping it down and going with the big Bricker Warriors, I feel good about that. Often when I run Warriors, I do prefer running them in 9 if I can, and the points and list allow. It's just, again, Leviathan, it packs such a punch, and they are so hard to kill. So certainly we'll be looking to use Hive Nexus on these guys as well with the update. Hive Nexus only working on core. This will allow the Warriors here to rock that 5-up invul as long as I can get the power off and range and all that jazz. So there we go. That is the list here. So very excited to play all this out and again jump into my second GT. So we're gonna go into the videos now and take a look at the floor, and then we're gonna jump into each game. I'm gonna give my thoughts. I got a couple photos. There'll be no looping video. I know last time I made a GT video, I made the terrible decision to run looping video of the games I was playing. So I just took some photos. I also was on the stream as well. Ras Reach streamed the event. So fortunate enough to be on there, and I'll talk about that when it comes up, and you'll actually be able to go back and watch that. So very cool there. So let's jump into the GT hosted by Deckbox. This is the Deckbox Masters Tournament in Halifax, Nova Scotia. 2-day event, 5 rounds. So everyone watching this right now, wish me luck. Some of you may know the results already, but we won't spoil anything for those watching. So let's jump into the event. And the other thing I'm going to quickly add to this video is going to semi-double down, as this is after the event, a week after the event actually, that I'm filming this. Just life is crazy. So it's the first time I've had a chance to sit down. Points updates have come out. GT pack has changed, so all kinds of craziness happening. It's hard for me to keep up again with a busy schedule and whatnot, just with life, but definitely making sure I get this done up for you because I'm eager to share it. So at the end of the video, I'm actually going to show you how my list has pivoted with all the new points updates and the new mission. So I'm actually going to take this list because obviously Leviathan I still think is the sauce for Tyranids, and I'm going to take a look at that. I am going to certainly be playing around with Behemoth in games here in the basement, but overall, if I was heading to a tournament, I think Leviathan would still take the cake for me as of right now, and I think the core of this list still stands quite strong and still has quite a bit of teeth and legs with all the new updates. But we'll talk about that at the end of the video, and I'll show you what the updated version of this list is. Just wanted to mention that before we jump into the video. So let's head down to the Deckbox Masters Grand Tournament. All right, everyone, let's jump into game number one. So I grabbed a couple photos for a few of the games, just so you can at least visually see the table. The first game I got a few shots, and the other ones didn't get as many. Just crazy day, of course, crazy weekend. So trying to grab some of the photos sometimes falls behind. But I did also get to play on stream, which is super exciting. You'll see later in the video. So I grabbed some clips from there, and you'll be able to watch those videos. The link in the video description below. The full battle report on Ras Reach if you want to check that out. So very cool. Be sure to support them. They did a fantastic job. So anyway, let's jump into game number one. So I'm up against Death Guard. It's been a while since I played against Death Guard. Haven't played them with a new book. Even before the new book, we were a tough matchup for them, and it's even worse. Just honestly, in a nutshell, this game was a rough go right from the start for the Death Guard. I got first turn. I was able to strike and get positioned very quickly. As you can see here, this first image we're looking at is turn one. So you can see I got positioned very well with everything. Or at the end of turn one, I should say. He did some moving as well. But the only thing that really didn't go my way the first turn was the Raveners failed a pretty easy charge, but it wasn't a huge deal. I pushed forward very aggressively with everything, keeping my to the last targets nice and safe. The Hive Tyrant jumped to the middle. With Death Guard being so slow, I decided to play not aggressive with the Hive Tyrant, but playing out towards the middle, kind of biding his time to launch forward. In a lot of the other games, I keep him back and launch later, being that there's fast moving or heavy hitting threats with shooting. So positioning on this setup you see here with Death and Zeal having the corner deployment, kept the Neurothrope central, used the Gargoyles in conjunction with the Warriors and Exocrine to provide some pressure from the top lane, and then with the Harpy flying forward, forcing him to have to deal with the Harpy, with the Raveners and Death Leaper kind of sneaking around the bottom. As need be, with the Tyranid getting a line down the other side. Between the Tyranid and Exocrine, I really liked the ability to kind of pinch out targets and anything that really kind of moved towards an objective. I had line of sight too with both of them, so allowed for some controlled fire with that, with my Zone Tropes kind of playing near the bottom with the Neurothrope. Excuse me, to take care of any psychic damage and buffing as needed. So into the game here, you can see this is moving into, I think we jump ahead to turn 3 here. You can see there's not a whole lot of Death Guard left on the table. It's just mowing through everything quite easily. Terminators falling heavily to the Malceptor. I believe in the first turn I killed a 10-man squad with the rolling. To be fair, I mean, I do a lot of damage with the Malceptor. As it is, but rolling extremely well when it comes to smites and everything. So super smites rolling out 6 mortals, then the exploding, and then getting another one off with Psychic Scream, and then the Harpy also got the bomb. So sorry, between the Harpy and Malceptor, I took out the big squad of Terminator. So it was just brutal. All said and done, that's the story of this game. Unfortunately, it's a very, very tough matchup for the Death Guard to try and take on the Tyranids, and not having anything that can really threaten the Harpy. I mean, the Demon Prince was the only thing that could actually harm the Harpy, and even then, committing the Demon Prince to the Harpy versus other threats is it's a rough call to make. So all said and done, the final score for this matchup was 95-23 for the Tyranids. So good start to the event, good warm-up for me. I mean, definitely want, I think, a game like this just to kind of grease the wheels, if we can say that, and then get ready as we move forward into some more challenging matchups. So that's game number 1. Let's move into game number 2 and see who we are paired up against. All right, everyone, time for game number 2, and it sees us paired up against the Space Wolves. So I have a lot of experience playing against Space Wolves since not just in 9th edition, but on a whole, being that we've got old Guardsman Gord on Basement Wargames. It's been a while since I've seen him, but he mains as Space Wolves, or one of his main factions, I should say. Space Wolves, he loves them, and it's a very similar list to what Gordy would run, so lots of experience playing against that, which bodes well for me in this. Now, the interesting lead up into this match is my opponent actually played against Tyranids in round 1 and gave them, I can't remember the score off the top of my head, but it was a pretty handy beating. It was a Leviathan list, kind of similar to mine. I don't believe there was a Harpy, and I think there was 2 Malceptors and no Warrior Blobs. Off the top of my head, I think it was something like that. I could be wrong, but anyway. So moving into this game, my opponent definitely feeling confident, having faced off against a similar style list, gave them a good beating, so hoping to redeem my Nid brethren here into this matchup. So in terms of secondary, sticking with the same group as last time. To the last, it's just such a solid play with my list. That warrior brick is very hard to take out, and with the units that he has, I can kind of control when the engagement happens with a lot of my units move blocking, especially the Harpy using its large base to be a bit of a pest and get in the way and hamper movement for anything that wants to come at my to the last targets. And then, I mean, the Hive Tyrant, I'm going to slow play him 100% in this game and launch out as needed. And Assassination, just a ton of characters, so obviously going to go for that one. Yeah, so there we go. Looking at this match here, what you're looking at is the start of the game here. So my opponent did get first turn. Unfortunately, this is the only image I have. For future videos like this, I will attempt to kind of do some more drawings, not actually having a photo here, but potentially drawing and doing an overview and showing each turn. Unfortunately, just my family and work life is not allowing me to do this at this time. So it's very busy, and I just want to get this video out before we get too far ahead past the event being over. So anyway, looking at this, you'll just have to kind of use your imagination a bit. So here we see the start of the game. My opponent got first turn. He launched Logan straight at me. Thankfully, I had my Venom Thropes and Gargoyles blocking, which worked out nice. He killed all but, I believe, 1 Venom Thrope, if I recall correctly. So I had 1 Venom Thrope floating around there. Then the Hive Tyrant jumped out on my turn, took Logan out quite easily. No problem there. And then I had a similar deployment to my last game, with the only difference being I played more central with the Zone Thropes and Neurothrope and Malceptor. Whereas the last game, they kind of floated near the bottom by the Raveners. Raveners did almost the exact same gameplay. They launched forward and engaged on the bottom right objective against some Blood Claws and the Thunderwolf Cavalry. They actually held their own the whole game. I don't think I lost them till turn 3. Even with morale, I actually rolled very well. One turn I did have to spend the CP to keep them there. But all said and done, the Raveners tying up that objective and then just kind of holding the Thunderwolves at bay. Well, excuse me, I zipped over and did mortals where needed. So with Murderfang and, Murderfang, I'm very bad at getting these guys mixed up. Yes, Murderfang and Bjorn, I always get them mixed up. Murderfang and the Dreadnought coming into the middle, they could not withstand the amount of mortals coming from the Zone Thropes, Neurothrope, and Malceptor, so I made quick work of them. The Harpy just flew around the whole game. He didn't actually manage to take out the Harpy. In the end, I think it would survive with like 1 or 2 wounds. I think the game was pretty much over by the bottom of turn 3, if I recall. So it was a bit of a beatdown. My warriors they tanked everything. He did get 1 Thunderbolt Cavalry into them, but they made it through no problem. The Exocrine did get tagged, unfortunately, so a bit of a misplay. I should have kept him a little bit back. He was positioned near the top like the previous game. A warrior unit was present, and I launched them forward. Unfortunately, a bad set of dice rolls saw them fall pretty quick. Not doing much damage to the Thunderwolf up there, and then I had Death Leaper up there as well, contesting that objective being OBSEC, so Death Leaper coming in clutch. That's kind of his position. I don't think I really mentioned him. But all said and done, another solid win for the Tyranids, so scoring 95 to 47 against the Space Wolves. The Transhuman and the Zone Thrope Imperative just coming in clutch the first turn, keeping everything I needed alive to get 2 solid rounds of damage in before he could counter. So here we go. Good start to the event. We are at 2-1, so very eager going into game 3. My biggest hope is not to run into Eldari yet. I know evidently I'm going to pair up against them. I think there was a total of 6 Eldari players, or maybe it was 5, but there was a fair amount of them. So hoping to face them until the later rounds. So for round 3, I got to play on stream. Brass Reach was streaming the entire event, which was extremely cool, very well done, and professionally presented. So big shout out to my friends at Brass Reach for doing this for the local event. So you can check out a few of the clips that I've shown you here, or click the link in the video description to watch the full battle. Sounds good, man. Excited. First game.
Guys, we're back for
jump infantry. I forgot that. I have 2 units of 5 Zephyr, so they're just
Warhammer
with power swords.
Warhammer saying mini stroke while I say that.
Okay, 12-inch move.
Yeah, guys, we're gonna get
and they reroll charges,
Sororitas
and
versus
then they
Tyranids
get an
here.
additional +1 to their shield. Okay, good luck.
Yeah, you as well, sir.
Oh, so we have Sisters turn 1.
I actually think I would rather have you go first. Now I got stuff to shoot. So, the way for Tyranids works, each turn I enact
my apologies.
an imperative. So one of my Synaptic guys gives a buff army-wide.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with Warp Shielding, which gives me a 4-up invul on all my monsters, as long as they're within 6 of his Synapse. And then all of my little guys have 5-up. So it's
Okay.
4 on monsters, 5-up on everything else.
Force, Tyler. I don't play
So I'm going to
And then, yeah.
for my miracle dice.
Yep.
5. It's good.
So do you get 5 or like you have that 1 dice?
So that is so it's a 5 on a dice roll. So I can use miracle dice for like a hit, a wound, damage,
Do you get
morale.
each phase or?
Just make sure.
1 per phase. Except because I have the banners on these guys,
Yes.
I can do an additional 1 on them.
Okay.
I like that Tyrant, and there's like not a lot left. That's good to the last like security right there. And oh my god, does it hurt? Trust me, that's what he did to me. It was brutal. I'm excited to see what he's gonna do with these Raveners. He might actually use them just to secure the middle point here, because Raveners will kill anything that that Sisters have. Engage might be his downfall, and holding primaries is definitely gonna be hard for him. But if he can kill off a few of these big bugs, I have no problem seeing that he can come back off of this.
Just keep them there. 4.
Yeah.
It's been really good. Super close every game. Yeah. 5-point difference right now. Yeah. Around top of 4. Top of 4. I heard you smash your opponent, champ.
So,
On like round 2.
Gotcha.
GG.
That's it then. Good game, man.
Game.
All right, great game. Tyranids taking the W here. Yeah, Crusher Stampede is not. If not, I don't think it's.
No, Crush MP is legal.
Stuff here overnight.
everyone, here we go. Game number 4. Up against none other than my good pal Nurgle Snurgle and her demon carpet list. We'll call it. Just bodies and bodies and bodies. So this list, as you just saw, is led by Bellicor. She used this at her previous GT, and ever since seeing it, I really want to play against this list. It's very interesting in that and how it plays, especially with like the pink horrors like dying and popping up again. Just very, very good at holding objectives. So it was going to certainly be an interesting one. So this game on a whole was a very crucial one for my own personal mental game, and I'll cover that in just a moment. So it was certainly huge into the final stages of the tournament for myself, which was wonderful. So to start the game out, as you can see, I only got just 2 images, so one here, then one of the very late game, so you'll have to kind of just work with me on that. I'll talk you through the first 2 turns, as they certainly had the most impact on the match itself. So this was my first mental mistake, so I stuck with the Leviathan reroll. I really should have swapped it out, and you'll see why in a moment. Well, you'll hear why in a moment. So Snurgle got first turn, teleported one of the big bloodletter groups right into my front lines, and made a charge at to the last warriors, which was really unfortunate, especially since normally I use that brick of warriors to kind of march forward, shoot, then do some charging, and the volume of shots I have would be very good for clearing out lots of demon bodies. So the mistake I just previously talked about is I can't take advantage of my rerolls against a lot of the Bellicor stuff. I can't remember the name of the roll, but it's a -1 to hit with no rerolls, if I recall the exact way it works. They might have been close to characters, but anyway, it was not coming into play a whole lot. What I should have done is taken the I can't remember the name of the adaptation, but it allows my Endless Multitude units, my gargoyles, to make a 6-inch pre-game move. Thus, moving forward, and I could have just had them in a straight line on my front lines and screened out the bloodletters from the core of my army and forced them to go into targets they probably didn't really want to go up against, or in a position they didn't really want to be in. So that right there, after realizing I was kind of down on myself a little bit, up to this point, I wouldn't say every game was perfect, but I felt like I executed every game extremely well for my first 3 games. So I'm absolutely someone that can admit my personal pride was hit a little bit. I was feeling kind of thrown off by making such an easy mistake, because like I was actually looking through the adaptation cards and I was like, I don't really need any of those. So anyway, I was like, okay, it's really unfortunate that kind of puts a damper on my mood slightly, just in terms of my personal gameplay. Well, it wasn't actually sour or anything during the game, but you know, just those little mental mistakes in your head. You're like, oh shoot, I messed up. And then so she killed, I think, all but 2 or 3 of the warriors. There wasn't many left. I can't remember the exact number, but I think there was like there was enough alive that I forced her to consolidate towards my warriors, and my gargoyles remained untouched, which was good. So into my turn, the harpy started doing damage as normal, flying forward, bombing the horrors, chipping away. The raveners pushed forward. The plague bearers on the far right objective, they moved up onto that one. So my raveners moved forward. Oh, sorry, I'm completely mixing this up. I did not keep the Leviathan adaptation for the reroll. I had the +1 to charge. That's what it was. My mistake there. Again, it's been a little bit. So yeah. So if you heard me say that, you're like, okay, that's an even sillier mistake actually keeping that. No, I did not do that. So I had my +1 to charge, and this is another spot that really was unfortunate for my first turn. So my Raveners moved forward over on that side. The core of my army right in the middle just absolutely eliminated the bloodletters between all the mortals, and then just all the shots able to come in, and my warriors fell back, of course. And then my gargoyle is just going to stay in my backfield, spread out a little bit. You'll hear why that's important when I say it, just a little bit. And that was pretty much the turn. The horrors were stretched out from the top left objective into the one that you see them standing on here in her end of the field. And my Raveners failed. I think it was like a 3-inch charge. I rolled a 4, spent a command point, and then rolled double 1s. So that was really not huge. I mean, still like the Raveners. It's not like the Plague Bearers were going to be charging them, but that's a turn of damage I lost against a very big OBSEC unit, and that was really unfortunate. So things were just kind of feeling a little weird. Definitely, I felt like I wasn't playing as smart as I had been. And now again, this is day 2, so it's a big thing with these tournaments to come in after like a hot day and keep that momentum going. So I was like, okay, and that's actually what happened to me at my last GT. Is the first day was pretty darn decent. The next day I came in and fell really flat for my first game. So I wasn't about to let that happen here, or was I? Because it wasn't feeling that great yet. So then into her turn, this is another thing that messed up when I said my gargoyles spread out just a little bit. I totally forgot that she had the Furies coming in, and I could have easily spread my gargoyles out with the Hive Tyrant holding the objective and completely denied her R&D in my quarter. And nope, there was a rather large pocket they could land at my backfield. So again, I was like, what? How did I miss that? So she was doing her movement phase, and I was like, okay, like I'm just gonna be right back. I'm just gonna run to the bathroom and just proceed through your movement phase. So I stepped out. I just went out of the room and just took a breather. I was like, okay, just need to cool down, accept that I made some mistakes, but let's not allow any more mistakes moving forward. Excuse me. And this was a really big point as well, because these mistakes can happen and will happen, but it's how you react from them. And Warhammer is such a mental game. I played a lot of competitive sports in the past, which are very mental focused. So I kind of knew that your game can get really thrown off, and Warhammer and more or less functions in the same manner. So how you react for some bad plays can really snowball into making lots of other very poor plays and turn a winnable game into a not winnable game. So I'm not I've played a few tournaments now, not a ton, but my advice for anyone that is new is to really focus on your mental game, except when you make a few mistakes, and recover from it, even if you have to just step out from the room for a second while it's your opponent's turn doing movement. Just take a breather and then just walk back in and refocus your game. So that was huge. So into my turn 2, things tightened completely up. My positioning was exactly how I wanted it. So I had my Raveners made the charge. Gargoyles took out the Furies. There was no more units to come deep striking in. There was another unit of Bloodlighters, so I spread out enough to allow the only spot for the Bloodlighters to come into my lines was near in between the top right objective and the center objective, and I had a unit of 5 warriors there that they could come at, or they could try and multi-charge and take on the couple remaining to the last warriors. So I forced the choice to, and those warriors are back, so the multi-charge would have actually been harder, and also spread them out. And they also had the Venomthropes and the Malsar up towards the middle. Excuse me, with the Venomthropes screening out the Malceptor as well. And then with the Raveners there, they kept these Zonethropes protected from any of the Bloodletters deep striking there. So positioning was really good. I mean, the Bloodletters did make the multi-charge with the 3d6, keep all the dice and whatnot, and took out the to the last warrior. So that was unfortunate, but it was much better than having them right into my back lines on my Hive Tyrant, or coming in and taking up my psychic damage, which I was really trying to save up as it, choose to the demons themselves, but also for when Be'lakor comes out. Getting those mortals was definitely a way that I could handle him when he came up to slice whatever was near up. So that was a good play. I had them stretch out. Then into my turn, I multi-charged the Bloodlighters with the Exocrine and the Venomthropes, actually tying them up on 2 ends, thus allowing me to focus all my psychic output onto the Screamer. So turn 3, I was able to finish off, I think, all but 2 or 3, like there was not many Screamers left. And then Death Leaper was able to come around and help finish off the last bit of the Screamers with the Raveners killing off, I think, all but 2 or 3 of the Plague Bearers, and the Hive Tyrant also came over to help with the Plague Bearers as well, keeping the Raveners in front of the Hive Tyrant after consolidation and whatnot over on that end to protect against Be'lakor. And then sure enough, Be'lakor came out into turn 4, handedly took out the Raveners, but wanting to try and get towards the Hive Tyrant. Between the Malceptor and the Zonethropes, they smited Be'lakor off the table, so the Hive Tyrant didn't actually have to fight. Then the Hive Tyrant could jump over with Death Leaper, finish off the last couple of characters, and that was it for the game. So ended up being all the demons cleared off, and again, just that mental reset. It was so huge for me. Kaylee plays this well, lists very well, spreading out the body. So you really have to think about what demons you're going to target and when, and really commit to them as well. So I really do think if I didn't take that reset, I would have continued to snowball, make a few poor choices on who I was going to target, thus letting her control the game with the objectives. And that's what this list does. It forces tough choices and lets her dictate what's happening in the game by holding the objectives she wants or pulling you into a direction on an objective that she may not care about as much, and then picking at you with the Bloodletters or Bellicore coming out later. So all said and done, everyone, we managed to pull out the win. It was a fantastic match. Like I said, always enjoy my games against Snurgle, and also very happy that I got a chance to play against this list. So we're moving into the finals against some Eldari. So here it is. I knew I'd be playing them, and I'm really glad it was for the finals. So it'll be a definitely good showdown between the Tyranids and some Hail of Doom Eldar. So final score 89-60, all said and done. So wonderful game, great way to start the day. Even though it was a rough start, that reset really had me feeling fantastic. Like I said, it's a make or break. I'm just really trying to stress that for players that maybe new to competitive play, or maybe if there are even some experienced tournament players that are listening to this. Anything you want to add to that, I'm absolutely all ears. Like I said, I'm no expert. Still only had like 7 tournaments or so under my belt, with only 2 of them being GTs, all the others being smaller. Excuse me. So let's jump into the final match. But lastly, for Snurgle, I have all of her social links in the video description below. Definitely check her out, throw some support her way. She is on the Rats Reach team as well, so you can catch them on every Sunday doing live streams. And from time to time, I make my way down there to play some games too. So let's jump into Game 5, everyone. This is going to be a fantastic one. Can't wait to see what happens. All right, so moving to the finals, of course, it was back on stream, so I was extremely lucky to be on here twice, having made it to the finals against the Eldari. So just like Game 3, you can see a few clips of the match here, or click the link in the video description to watch the full battle on Rats Reach YouTube and Twitch channel. So definitely support them, and it's a game that is certainly worth watching. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy.
All right, guys, we're live once again for the championship match between Tyler Field's Tyranids and Jonathan Betteridge's Eldari.
Your
good
guys
game
can't
here.
come down turn 1, right? Like they're...
The Direbenders? Yeah, no. Can roll off for first turn?
Yes, sir. Good luck.
All right, initiative roll going down.
My boots.
Yeah.
Big.
1.
And
Roll
hit.
1. Feel the free.
Good luck. This is all I hope for the whole turn.
Yeah, I don't think I want to redeploy.
Tyranids.
No, it's fine.
Turn
Good.
1.
So
Those are
adaptation-wise,
pretty
I'm gonna stick with the reroll.
Yep.
Nothing else I think will help me out.
Like,
too
it
much.
didn't seem like it was
Actually
worth
come
it.
over. Sure, that's-
Especially if he failed to charge, the entire squad dies, so.
Yeah.
They're the best models, but they are such a pain to move.
Yep.
So, I didn't notice, but what secondary did they take?
Secondaries for Tyler is Stranglehold, Psychic Interrogation, and Grind Them
iPad's gonna come
Down.
out.
26 to 17
So
for the Tyranids.
ability, I'm gonna give the 3d6 cast to him,
Yep.
and he's also gonna get it.
Okay.
His Neuroparasite's gonna be pretty spicy. If I can get range, it should be actually pretty doable.
Are you trying to get the Hawks?
Ideally. Yeah. But we'll see.
You have to get to there.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you can do. You just have
I'll
to
front
link
of the
them
six,
again.
no
No
save.
nothing else.
Which is actually kind of big.
Your Dire Avengers are teleporting, not walking on.
And you can't use the psychic as
They're
a
teleporting.
either,
So more than 9 anywhere on the board. I swear to God, if we leave a Maliceptor on a wound, 1 wound, again, I've done this too many times.
He doesn't want to leave the Maliceptor with 1 wound.
He can't. Like, he will start healing you.
That was pretty bad, actually.
Heal at D3,
He's
he'll
on
blow
6.
up all these troops.
Oh.
Paroxysm, he needs to get
That was a really good wound roll.
Oh,
4.
that was a good
Give me
wound
2.
roll.
He needs to get Paroxysm off the board is the big thing.
AP2.
He's dying.
4 ups, here we go.
Swear to
Feel
God.
pain.
1 damage.
1 damage.
It's a 5.
Damage, he needs a 5. What?
All right. I
Oh,
mean,
boy.
It is what it is.
We were sitting at a score of 49-23 for the Tyranids. That Booch definitely overpowering the dice rolls from
Yeah.
Tyler.
You think it's the Booch?
It's the Booch. Has to be the Booch.
Can't be anything else.
Can't be anything else.
Not even skill.
Not
I'm gonna do psychic
even
oversight,
skill.
Alright.
psychic action, and still do other powers, so he can do smite and everything. I'm gonna keep the same setup, so 3d6.
Yep.
3d6.
Right on the charge there.
Yeah.
And the High Tyrant's gonna go for
Tyrant's
Barra.
going in. Going into Byra.
Just Barbaroth?
Yep.
I'll do it.
6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
Gets it.
Wait, why is Barbaroth?
And then I'm gonna consolidate in.
Oh
touch
my
everything.
god, he can stop. He doesn't. Yeah, Barbaroth
Both
usually only takes
units
3 more moves
Yep.
per phase. Tyler has a relic that ignores all that stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
should delay.
So, good game, guys. But it's looking like Tyler Fields pulls out the dub. Tyler pulled out the dub. There's the celebration.
At least do it on camera.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Do over. Somebody pick him up.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
On the camera, but that was fantastic.
Good.
Yeah.
Maliceptor specifically. Maliceptor saves
Yeah.
were huge. Putting everything into the Maliceptor and having him survive with 1 wound. That was
Well, it's just like he hit like what was that? Like a 6 or 7 inch charge, a
Yeah.
9 inch charge, an
Yeah.
8 inch charge, an 8
That was
inch
an 8
charge.
inch, yeah,
Like
dude.
Like, I don't think on turn 2 and 3, I don't think anything went wrong for Tyler.
Yeah, no, this was a smooth game. Like you could
Yeah.
shave with this game.
Yeah, I think Tyler, you played very well.
Yeah, it was a. So Tyler bringing home the dub.
There you have it, everyone. Oh my goodness, what an event. So for you, I'm still in the same spot here when we started the video, but again, just filming this afterwards, and you just got to take a look at the 5 rounds I played and going an incredible 5-0 at the event. So for me, it's a big deal. This is my 2nd grand tournament ever. Felt very good, like I said in previously. That 5th game was some of the best 40k I think I've ever played. Probably the cleanest game of 40k I've ever played. Competitively, my opponent was just an absolute pleasure to play against. An incredibly skilled player in a tough faction to boot. So really happy with the finals that we had go down. It was just wonderful. I played him previously, as I mentioned before, with my Heritage list. So what a great game. Certainly look forward to playing him again, and also hosting him in the basement. He's said that he would come up for a match too, so certainly looking forward when that time comes. But yeah, I'm so excited that we pulled out that win. My goal going into the event was 4-0 to improve upon my last performance of, 4-1, and improve on my performance of 3-2 last time with the Heritage list. But we pulled out the win. Super cool. Got to take away some prize money there, so going to be dipping into some heresy. Little teaser of stuff to come. But yeah, so really cool to have that also fund some of the next hobby projects. Fantastic event. I can't say enough good things for our local scene, and a big thank you to Josh and the Deck Box for putting the event on, to Rasbreach for streaming the event. the team there just puts on such a fantastic show, and you can go and rewatch that full game and see every moment for my sisters and Eldari match in the final. So incredible stuff. So thank you so much, everyone who always supports the channel, and for everyone in the chat that was cheering for me. I saw a few familiar faces in there. I rewatched a little bit of it later on. So very cool to see that. Yeah, so we're gonna jump in and look at how the list has changed. But before I do that, I'm gonna talk about everything. I know I kind of highlighted a lot, and you probably get the gist of it through each match talking about it. But overall, the list itself here, we're just gonna talk about my final thoughts on it post-event. So everything really performed extremely well. I know I had mentioned before, the Raveners were something that I wanted to get in the list, and I wasn't sure if I was going to try and get a second Harpy, and I do have my second Harpy, but I wasn't sure if I was... Speed painting for the event was also a bit of a factor for these guys getting in. But I'm really eager to get Raveners in there, and again, beef up the Warrior squad there. So that was a big thing, was, do I take the Raveners? Do they stay in the list? How are they going to do? And honestly, they exceeded all my expectations. They filled such key roles, allowing me to be incredibly aggressive with a unit that can pack quite a punch with shooting and melee. So combining that with some Synaptic Link from the Hive Tyrant, and also the Imperatives as well, it made them tough to kill. So they were certainly a standout, and that choice going into the event, I think, was the right call. A second Harpy definitely would have been very dangerous, but the objective holding and stealing power brought in by the Raveners, I think, I mean, it's post-event now, it's so hard to say. I think they were the right call. Going into it, I think the Harpy on paper probably would have been a better choice, but after the event, I'm certainly glad I took the Raveners, and they paid off as well. Looking at the big brick of Warriors too, at the start of the video, I know I mentioned, do we go 10 Gargoyles, 20 Gargoyles? But having the brick of Warriors was just fantastic. They deleted whatever they touched. They were just so hard to take out. The couple times I did take to the last, I mean, they're hard. They did die that one game. But outside of that, those stinking corn demons. But yeah, outside of that, they were just fantastic. They did everything I needed them to, and more. So certainly couldn't be happier with them. And I think having the single unit of Gargoyles was just fine. Certainly a second unit would be fantastic, but I think just the one unit in the brick of Warriors is great. However, Warriors going up, unfortunately. Murder Tyrant, again, I noted at the start of the video, slow playing him has been a big factor into how I was going to operate in this list, and it played out to a T every game. I didn't lose the Hive Tyrant once, and every time slow playing him to launch out and take out whatever key targets I needed to rack up points, and then assume table dominance once again. So just the Hive Tyrant doing that and more always for me. So just a huge standout. The Neurothrope as well with Gestation Sack. I'm really a big advocate of Gestation Sack. That it came in clutch so many times throughout the tournament. Allowing me to get secondaries off, to screen when I would lose my Gargoyles, and just allow them to be a menace, or launch back and take my back objective and allow my entire force to play very aggressively. Venomthropes, oh my goodness, these guys, and my phone ran out of storage space there, so sorry about that. Continue talking about the Venomthropes. Obviously the -1 to hit aura is just phenomenal, but their output in melee is just, it catches so many people off guard. They just mow through chaff units and floating them around mid-table to protect, again, the Neurothrope, or just clear out any screens or any little things that I need to take care of as well. It's just awesome. Plus the 3-up to make things fight last as well is pretty cool to boot, so it can kind of be a little handy. Now the Psychic output, obviously the Maleceptor, just every game making its points up and more. Huge standout. Maleceptor getting jacked up 50 points, and to be honest, rightfully. Well, I say rightfully as in talking in the spirit of the game as a Tyranid player. A little sad, but it's understandable. That guy is just a fiend with mortal output, so durable, and really not too shabby in melee, really. So the Maleceptor, obviously, just doing Maleceptor things in combination with the Zoes and the Neurothrope, just so many mortals between those three. Again, I like to kind of keep them back, or if I need to. Sometimes I've as you saw or heard talking about it earlier, pushing the Zoes forward as well to present another target for my opponent to shoot at, where their mortal threat is quite big, and take pressure off other key units if need. So they have that flexibility to them as well. So a lot of fun, or just holding them back on objectives and poking their head out to slap down anything that comes close, or just toss the mortals down as needed. Death Leaper's another one to talk about as well. So he performed exactly as needed. Points are going up for Death Leaper into the update, and I'm very sad about that. I'm going to look for a way to keep him in. I'm going to be bouncing between Death Leaper and Parasite. I love Alien Cunning. It's such a clutch Warlord trait, and it came into play so many times for me at the event and saved my butt, especially in the finals. Death Leaper was huge at denying a bunch of primaries, as well as continually allowing me to score a Stranglehold. I think it was the first 3 turns. So just, yeah, I can't say enough about how great Death Leaper is, and not being able to be shot. It's so good. So he is going up a lot in points. So I don't know. Is taking the Parasite over him the right call? I don't know. Talking about moving forward, but in terms of this list, Death Leaper was just a huge standout. Very happy about that. Yeah, just. It was great. I would push him essentially on a flank with larger units like the Tyranid or Exocrine, and just have him dip around, or slow play him even. There was a couple games where I just kind of floated him around, and then when needed, he would launch and take out either a character or just be an annoyance on an objective. So Death Leaper was clutch to the overall performance and effectiveness of the list. And the 5-man warrior unit too was great. It was the extra punch that I needed, so I would often send them along with one of these two, usually the Exocrine, just to kind of hold objectives on the fire, with the Exocrine pumping down high damage shot and allowing these warriors to just kind of clean up things as necessary. So certainly I think the 5 warrior unit over extra gargoyles or any other troops, I think that's the move. And keeping them at 5 allows me only 1 CP for the -1 damage strat. So anything that is super threatening to them, I can pop that. Helps keep them alive and keep the OBSEC going. So pretty handy there. So very happy again of the overall troops build for the list. Looking at my last 2 guys, want to talk about their performance in the list. Generally speaking, again, you got the gist of everything from all the games, but I want to go through this post-event talk. Tyranid, Rupture Cannon, and Voracious Ammunition. It is certainly, post-event, it is very situational. The Tyranid on a whole is one tough thing he's a tough big guy to shake, even without having an invul for the whole game. It's hard to take the Tyranid out. If there's any big units, the Rupture Cannon in combination with the Leviathan reroll is just phenomenal. And then being able to use the Stinger Salvo to slap mortals down on other targets, or just use that to fire at something and finish off a weak unit if you just want to guarantee, almost, it's on a 2-up, getting those mortals on a weak unit to clean them up. So without the Leviathan reroll, though, the 3 shots from the Rupture Cannon does get a little risky depending on what you're facing. Again, with this particular list, having the versatility between the Tyranid and the Harpy for the high damage shots, I think it certainly came into play. I wasn't sure if there's going to be a lot of Knights going into the tournament because they had just come out, so I thought the Rupture Cannon would be a good play, just in case. You never know. Thankfully for this event, it all worked out just gravy. And the Tyranid, again, just acting as a brick to charge in as needed and push aggressively if I need them to. Exocrine was great. I used it to, again, flank paired with these warriors. I did that, I think, 4 to the 5 games or 3 to the 5, but they were often paired together. And it worked out amazingly, as the Exocrine could either hold an objective and allow the warriors to push forward if needed, or the Exocrine could just sit back, somewhere, just even for area denial for any deep striking units coming in, and just pump shots down through the lanes as I try to push them usually up to the corner. So Exocrine, wasn't sure about that. Do I bring it, or again try and fit another Harpy, speed painted up for the event? But I'm very glad I took the Exocrine. The flexibility with it certainly paid off, and unfortunately the old guy's going up some points, so I'm not sure if it'll make the cut for my new variation, but certainly love the Exocrine and what it brought to the list. It all paid off well. So I know some people use it, but I stand behind the Exocrine right now. I mean, before the points update, this is talking that we'll see how everything shakes out, but certainly did work. And the Harpy, of course, just an absolute fiend in the air. Just the mortals, the heavy venom cannon shots, forward synapse as well, just to kind of fly. Now, I mean, I had the Dermic on this guy, but the forward synapse, it helped getting the imperative off on him himself, but in terms of like flying forward and helping with forward synapse, wasn't too big a deal. It was more the 10 points being paid to guarantee that I'm getting that 4-up pinball when the Zoe one comes into play. So it paid off, it worked. But if I didn't have Dermic on the Exocrine, I think I would take that running a lone Harpy over the Exocrine in hindsight. But I mean, it obviously all worked out, but just that's to add my thoughts in. So it's debatable again how you set up the trio here. I find these three units, the adaptions are very interchangeable, even Voracious on the Harpy. You definitely want the Invul obviously on the Harpy moving forward up the table, but even Voracious would have been key to fly back and slap it down on some targets that are hard to reach for the rest of the fleet here. But Voracious, I think, was the play on him for sure. Dermic paid off big time for the Exocrine, made it very, very hard to kill. And a lot of times people just chose not to shoot it because it's just got a built-in 4-up pinball, and again, just kept him alive, pumping shots down the field. And the Harpy, yeah, just doing work. And excuse me, I didn't mention earlier too, I talked about it a bit in the videos, but in terms of secondaries as well, this list, it didn't give up too, I mean, obviously Bring It Down's one that's going to be racking up some points, so 13 altogether for that one. But yeah, it's just no prisoners. It totaled up, I think it was 9 after the Ripper Swarms came out, so just 9 there. Only got 3 characters, so only giving up 10 for that, all said and done. And they're 3 characters that are quite hard to take out. And my denying power is quite strong. We got Shadow in the Warp and an absurd amount of denies across the board here. And then also a bonus deny when the Neurothrope Imperative goes off as well. So I do think this list was built quite well to defend against opponent secondaries. So that's another really important thing that I think we always need to talk about when looking at performance of a list and building a list. If you can, in a way, deny opponents' secondaries as much as you possibly can. Now, this is looking at Nachmund, obviously, moving forward into Nephilim. It's going to change, certainly. So, yeah. So that's it. I really hope you all enjoyed this recap. We're going to just flash here into the updated version. I'm actually going to be running this at Wrath's Reach tomorrow. Again, this video will not be out tomorrow for you, but you'll certainly be able to check out the VOD on their channel. I'll be taking on the Death Guard in the Wrath's Reach League. So it's an 8-round tournament, lasting each round lasts 3 weeks to get games in. It's going to be hopefully having some players come up to the basement, which is great for the community as well. Have them come up, play against myself, potentially have some other people come and play against other fellow members here in the basement. So again, great community building opportunity, as well as I'll take any chance to head down to the Wrath's Reach stream, hang out with the crew there. All just such wonderful individuals. So certainly always going to toss the love and support for my fellow content creators and just wonderful human beings as well. So let's take a look, everyone, at how this list is going to evolve. Initially, I'll certainly have to get a couple games under my belt. Oh, and it's worth adding to, I am going to be running this list against the Death Guard, the same Death Guard that I played at the event tomorrow. So hopefully it's not going to be too, it was a beatdown in the GT, but I am very curious. This Death Guard got off quite well, or not got off, they got rifle points adjustments in the update. So I'm very curious to see how this new version and all the new missions are going to shape up, and see how much of a different game is going to be. So I'm hoping, always hope it's a good game. It's more entertaining for everyone. Obviously the tournament beatdowns they're good points wise, but I enjoy having a tight game, or at least tight for the majority of the game. Just makes it much more fun for everyone, and it's a lot more exciting. So yeah, list performed well. Excuse me, I'm happy. Let's see as we pack up the Nachmund version. Glad to go on a big win for the Nachmund season, and let's jump into
everyone.
Nephilim.
Here we are,
version.
modified list.
My list after the points update. So Little bit of a time jump. So I did play my game at Wrath's Reach. I know just a moment ago I said I'm playing tomorrow, but that is coming past. Alas, life can get busy, but here we are just finishing up this recap and talking about the adjustments. And spoiler alert, if you didn't watch that video, I'm going to quickly talk about the results and how it performed. So looking at the list, talking about the modifications. So I think it was roughly 260 points my previous list went up. So I had to make a few adjustments. The first being the Maleceptor. I decided just the price, a little pricey for, I mean, it's still fantastic, but for what the Maleceptor does, and also with the Nephilim changes to CP as well, it kind of forced my hand. I wanted to get the same amount of mortal outputs and still have a good psychic presence on the table. So I went with a second Neurothrope into the list, and with CP being a little bit tighter, this allows me to still get 2 of the Synaptic, I can't remember what it's called, the 3d6 cast Synaptic Link that they get to hand out. So I love having at least 2 of those on the table, and not having to spend a CP on the Warlord trait allows me to still have a solid Psyker that can float about, and also doubles down for psychic interrogation as well, which I think might be a key secondary for myself at least, with this particular list, being that the Neurothrope gets 3d6 plus 1, so it should be able to generate some CP and rack up some early victory points with that. So that is a major change. It kept the Tyrant the exact same, the other Neurothrope the same, minus the Gestation sack, so I pulled that out of the list. Having played my game, I do think I'd spend the CP to, I think I would spend the CP to drop down to just 2 starting for have Gestation. It really pays off, and I think I would actually probably stick it on the Parasite. The Parasite was another one that jumped into the list, so in the elite slot I had to pull out Death Leaper, being that he went up a little bit in price, but Parasite kind of fulfilling that role for me, so I wanted him to have Alien Cunning, so I have that forward OBSEC. The Parasite is a lot faster than Death Leaper, so I think that's going to be a positive change. It worked out in my first game I played with it so far, but we're going to continue testing it. I'm going to keep the list like this for another handful of games and see how it plays out. So the Parasite is in place of Death Leaper. The elite slot outside of the Maleceptor and Death Leaper leaving are the exact same. The troop section, however, sees bit of a shakeup. So with Warriors going up, I dropped down from my big brick of 9 down to 2 units of 5. Adrenal Glands on both, with flush hooks on one of the squads. Reason for that is I wanted to keep Raveners into the build here. Originally I still had the 9 Warriors and I didn't have the Raveners, and I had another unit of Gargoyles, but I love the speed of the Raveners and grabbing objectives early and performing actions with them if need be, or using them as kind of a counter punch tool, with their shooting and their melee being just so good. Raveners, they perform so well for me. So for now, they're going to be in. I feel very confident with having the 3 of them plus the Parasite as my OBSEC choices. We'll see though, maybe I'll bump it up to 2 units of the Gargs, and we'll try that out. But for now, Raveners are definitely still on the table. Heavy support, I stuck with the Tyranids. I just like having the option that if there is some heavy units that I have to take out, that he can just slap some incredibly high damage shots. He's so durable, and the Stinger Salvo is not too bad at all. Plus with Voracious, it's good for cleaning up stuff. So for now, I'm going to keep the Rupture Tyranids, maybe the Exocrine, but the Exocrine go up in points makes it tough. But the Tyranids has worked out very well for me, so he has earned his place in the list. And then into the Flyer here, I'm panning over a little bit because there's supposed to be a second Harpy here. It is on, well, not on the painting table yet, but it is on the assembly line. So I do have the 2 Harpies, so I will be running 2 of them. I cut the Exocrine out for a second Harpy with Dermic Symbiosis. I think this is going to give me the forward aggression I need to allow the list to kind of get positioned early, grab objectives. The Harpies are units that have to be dealt with. They're incredibly annoying, and being able to drop those mortals down is just fantastic. So against, I mean, the volume of mortals coming through, even against a large unit of intercessors or something like that, marine-wise, I'm thinking it can certainly put some hurt into them. Any small T3 units, they just plow through. And it really even tough for unit. Well, I guess the toughness doesn't matter. We're talking like large body units. That's what I'm saying. So if bear with me there. If you're like, hold on, that didn't make sense, but you know what I mean. So having 2 of them with heavy venom cannons, I think is the way to go. Even with them going up in price, the Harpies are so dang good for what they do. And when looking at the 2 lists, the big thing is I was worried about not having as many bodies to hold objectives. But actually, this has 11 bodies that can hold objectives compared to my other list, which was 12. And that one also could spawn the Rippers. So that's another reason I want kind of the Rippers to be back into it, especially with the Parasite to fly forward. He can kind of go off and do his own thing on an objective, scream with the Rippers, and then fly away or do whatever is needed. So I really like the speed for what the Parasite brings. Not as killy as Death Leaper, but definitely for the time now, I think we're gonna make him work. So I played Death Guard. I know it's a super tough matchup. Same guy I played from the tournament. So like I said, I was very curious to see how it would shake up, being that he got a bit of a points increase, or sorry, a points allowance increase for his list, and I was at a bit of a increase going up 260 points with my list. But spoiler alert for that, if you're planning on watching the battle report, you can check that on Wrath's Reach. If you don't want to know the results, I'd stop now in this video. But it was unfortunately another beatdown. So I'm very curious on how it was going to play out. And yeah, it was actually worse than before. But a bit apart with to that was just me spiking my psychic tests. The first turn getting super smites, but then rolling 6s and 5s for all my super smites. So that puts a lot of hurt in the Death Guard. But overall, in the end, I think even without that, it still would have been the same result. The 2 Harpies just very tough for them to handle, and then the rest of the list just pushes forward and does what it wants. Again, the Raveners, just their speed. In that mission, I did Banners, Interrogate, and Assassinate, and I got, I think the first turn 4 Banners up in the first turn. Could have 5, but kind of baited our objective with some Spore Mines. But yeah, the list, again, just I'm very happy where it's at. Tyranid's still incredibly strong. Probably could use a bit more of an update, but at this point, I don't know if it's points that need an update, but maybe it's just Leviathan. That's a hard thing too. High Fleet Leviathan is just so dang good, so durable. I think that's really, at this point, I think NIDs are in a better spot across the board, speaking in that regard. But High Fleet Leviathan is just fantastic. When looking from a competitive aspect. And of course, I would only be running this list if I was playing in a competitive setting, or at least my opponent was aware and happy to play against it before the match. Aside from that, in my standard reports, I'm going to be continuing to play around with Behemoth, potentially Kraken. Behemoth just has my eye right now. I'm also craving to do a double Turbigon list. Switch my Tyranids there over to Turbigon and run 2 of them. So we'll see. Anyway, back to the topic of this. So that's it, everyone. That's how the evolution of the list has gone out from the event. It's still performing well. I'm eager to hopefully get in another tournament soon. If my family and work life can all line up, hopefully we'll get another tournament in a couple months or so. But definitely still have lots of reports coming here. We're going to have Nick coming up from Wrath's Reach hopefully soon to play some matches, potentially against this list too, and see what he has. Maybe the Drukhari will come back, or see what else. He's got loads of armies to choose from. So excited to host him up here again. But thank you so much, everyone, for watching and all your support. What a fantastic event for myself. Really happy to pull out the big win, and it was really cool to have some of the battles I did. There were some really fantastic matches, and just I'm over the moon happy with how everything went on. I know Tyranids are in a good place, but honestly, I felt like I played some pretty good 40k on a whole. So really happy of how my game's evolving. And in saying that too, is I learned a ton from the tournament. Still so much to learn about the game, and continuing to be very open and receptive of any insights people have, or just even overhearing people's strategies, discussing things at event is really cool too. I try my best to pick up a lot. There's so many skilled players in my area, and want to continue to absorb knowledge and just have decent showings at events and have a good time. So till the next one, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. We'll see you in the next video.